Commissioner Warren.
Here.
Commissioner Mabry.
Aye.
Commissioner
Here.
Fabia.
Here.
Commissioner Newman.
Here. Please stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item, any public comment? Just need to state your name, Carolyn.
Carolyn, you want to turn the switch on toward you?
How I do that?
Just slide it toward you.
My name is Carolyn Stoll, and I just have a question on, the city council was talking about increasing business in here, and I have a question, getting an Aldi, has that been proposed, or is that, can we try getting it again? I don't know, I didn't know if I should go to one person, or?
Well, I personally don't know anything official that Aldi's has ever been here, but Jeff, I don't know if you know.
No, I mean to ask them to come.
We have worked with Aldi's and a couple other grocery stores in reference to what I think is commonly referred to as the old Walmart facility, and that was all to do with the business district, and those interested entities are no longer interested without the business district concept right now. Doesn't mean somebody won't be in the future, but with that, we have not had any solicitations back from anybody that included Aldi's.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the last meeting as written.
I second.
Motion is second. Any further comment? Okay, go ahead, call roll.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry.
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia.
Aye.
Commissioner Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Quirin.
Aye. Next we'll go, we'll start with our invoices, and we'll start with Commissioner Newman.
Tonight I have the bills for Public Affairs and Department of Accounts and Finances. In the Planning Department, $13,846.90. Administration, $19,437.54. Self-insurance, $4,173.87. Economic Development, $2,650. Tourism, $7,257.26. Property, $2,232.01. Community Development, no expenses. General Obligation, $43,183. Tax Increment, $16,078, for a total invoices in the Department of Public Affairs and Department of Accounts and Finances of $108,858.58. Mayor, I've reviewed these bills, find them to be true and correct, and move that they be paid.
I second.
Motion's been seconded. Any further comment, corrections? Call roll.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry.
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia.
Aye.
Commissioner Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Quirin.
Aye. Thank you, Commissioner Newman. Now we'll go to Commissioner Mabry.
Thank you, Mayor Quorum. This evening I have the bills and payrolls for the Department of Streets and Public Improvements as follows. In the Street Department, a total of $27,909.75. In the Motor Fuel Tax Department, $34,482. In the Wastewater Collection Department, $14,343.01. In the Wastewater Treatment, $1,183.29. And Wastewater Administration, $155.19. In the Cemetery Department, $14,313.32. And garbage expenditures of $16,406.86. The total is $108,793.42. Mayor Quorum, I've examined the bills and payroll, find them to be true and correct, and request payment be made.
Second. Motion is second. Any further comment? Go ahead and call roll.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry.
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia.
Aye.
Commissioner Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Quirin.
Aye. Thank you, Commissioner Mabry. Now we'll go to Commissioner Fabia.
I have the bills for the Public Health, Safety, and Civil Defense. For the Police Department, I have $113,157.30. for fire ambulance department, I have $89,241.77, for a total of $202,399.07. I have reviewed these bills, I believe they are true and accurate, and I, will say go ahead and approve them.
Second.
Motion's a second, any further comment, corrections? Go ahead and call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye, thank you, Commissioner Fagan. Now we'll go to Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. I have the bills for the public properties and utilities and electric generation totaling $445,740.07. Electric distribution of $37,321.32. Electric administration of $44,018.13. Telecommunications of $631.95. Water treatment of $25,109.96. Water distribution of $9,158.57. Water administration of $236,477.43. For a grand total, Department of Public Utilities, $798,457.43. I've examined these bills and found them to be true and correct and move that they be paid.
I'll second that.
Motion's a second, any further comment, corrections? Call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye, thank you, Commissioner Warren. Now we'll go into regular business, and, Commissioner Newman.
Mayor, tonight I have the second and final reading for ordinance O-15-05-01-41. It's a recommendation by the planning commission to rezone property for the construction of a crematorium and monument sales, facility. I move that we approve this ordinance.
I second.
Motion's been second, any further discussion? Go ahead and call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye.
Mayor, I have building reports for the month of April. We have 10 new permits. One was for residential property, 9 was for accessory uses, for a total of $332,000, and 1 commercial permit for $2,900. So through April of this year, we've issued 23 permits for a total value of $566,516, compared to the same time last year of only 18 permits and a value of $339,974.
Thank you, Commissioner Newman. Now we'll go to Commissioner Mabry.
Thank you, Mayor Querem. This evening, we have a sanitary sewer engineering agreement from Wendler and Associates out of Dixon, Illinois. I've reviewed this, and a couple of things I'd like to just discuss if I could. I think Wendler would do an excellent job, and I know that Jeff Boston's worked with a couple of different engineering companies for our sewer work, and it's a matter of trying to find a good match, and sometimes we move work around to kind of split it up. Wendler would do an excellent job. When you read through the scope of what they're willing to do for this engineering project, and this is behind Jefferson School to help eliminate a bottleneck in the sanitary sewer lines. It's replacing 1,700 feet of existing 10-inch sanitary sewer. My suggestion would be is to approve this evening with a not to exceed of $25,000, and if we have to go back and look at additional funds towards that project, I'm not saying that that's wrong. The one thing in here that it does talk about under page 3 of 7 that they're going to be doing construction observation part-time and preparation of pay requests for an estimated fee of $4,000. And I know that what we're doing is we're allowing our full-time help in those different departments to do some of the construction observation. I know they've been doing that with the project on Bailey, so that might give us a chance to save a little money. And as we saw out there, again, this is a different project, but out there when they were doing some work out on out on East Park Avenue, I think it's important that we do have our own people out there watching to see the work being done. That was a different contractor, but it really helps to know that what's going in the ground with underground piping and having our own staff there. And there's always going to be times we're going to need the engineering firm there too. So I would make a recommendation that we approve this engineering agreement with Wendler with a cost not to exceed $25,000.
Second. Motion second, any further comment? Go ahead and call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. Thank you, Commissioner Mabry. Now we'll go to, the city manager for the city manager report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I thought I would take a couple of minutes tonight to go through the new budget books, and I've placed those before each of the council members and the mayor before the meeting. Obviously, these are copies for you to have and take home with you, and I think there's a lot of valuable information. Most of the rest of you are aware, maybe even some of the public, that this is the book that we do each year as part of the budget process. So I don't want to belabor it, but I thought I would go through and just highlight some of the key points so you're aware that you have this information at your fingertips at home or, you know, wherever you keep this book with you. So in following the tabs through the book, the first section of the book is referred to as the summary budget. And just so that you know, it's about 8 pages that summarizes the budget for each of the funds and departments, but summarizes it with less detail, so that from the public's benefit, they could review our budget at a glance and not have to read 60 pages to understand what we're spending. But I want to make it clear to the public that if you want more detail than what the summary provides, you're welcome to have a copy of the line item budget as well, which leads me right to the next section, which is, of course, the detailed line item budget. And keep in mind, this budget is what was approved by the council, and it does represent our fiscal year from May 1 of 15 through April 30th of 2016. So it's the color coding, just so you don't get confused if you've had previous books. I think this makes some people nuts, but it makes it easier for me. This year is pink, last year was green. So if you open your book and those pages aren't pink, it's not the current year. So second section, again, is the line item budget, and that has a lot of detail by line item of how we anticipate spending approximately $25 to $26 million of revenues that are anticipated to be brought in over that period of time. The third section, which may be one of the more important and very simple to look at, is the capital budget. And if you're glancing at it, it's a worksheet on the very first page, and this is a cash flow designed to show not only what we're going to buy from a capital perspective, but when throughout the fiscal year we're going to buy it. Some of our revenue streams come in consistently month to month. Some of them come in differently. A good example are property taxes that come in only in July, August, September, and then a little minor amount filters in December. So we try to anticipate the cash flow in when we anticipate the expenditures going out. And this is, again, all the capital expenditures itemized, so this is a really good page to refer to. But if you are not a numbers person, you can turn to the next 2 pages, the front and back, that gives you maybe a simpler detail to follow of the various projects that the council has approved and we anticipate doing in the next fiscal year, or in the current fiscal year. Councilman Mabry just brought up and approved an engineering agreement for the Jefferson School / Fox Creek sewer project that's included in this capital budget as an example. So that's real valuable information to have at your fingertips as well. Moving on, and if you have a question, certainly stop me, but I wanted to be brief, so it take a lot of time. The next section is the debt, and it's a fold-out handout. It's an 11.5 by 17 sheet, has blue colored headers, and this is a summary of all the debt the city has currently, and it also it shows complete debt, and it also shows what's due in the fiscal year that we're in to pay down whatever our debt responsibilities are for the current fiscal year. So again, that's another one that from time to time I get calls from folks. Be aware that you have that information in front of you, and it's as current as the end of the last fiscal year. So anything, for example, we just approved bills. Most of you know there were some debt payments that were part of those bills. So things change every month based on when those payments are due. And then behind that sheet is another pink sheet that summarizes, again, just this year's responsibility. And I want to highlight, because I think it's important to note that our debt's in that $33 million range total. Of that debt, we're going to pay down approximately $3 million in interest, and with about $700,000 $3 million in principal, with about $700,000 in interest in this fiscal year we're in by the time we get to April 30th of next year. So in a perfect world with no new debt, our debt will be down around $30 million by April 30th of 2016. But the other thing I'd like to note is over the last several years, everybody involved has worked pretty hard, from employees to department heads to myself and the council, to lower the interest. And we've cut our interest costs by about $500,000 a year, if not more than that, by doing some refinancing over the last couple of years. So that $700,000 2 years ago would have been $1.2 million to $1.5 million. So we're very happy about all that, and that just allows us to pay down the debt a little bit more aggressively. Moving on, the next section, I won't highlight too much, it's just some charts. Some people like a picture versus the numbers, and I know everybody's not a numbers person, so this just kind of paints a picture of a few of the various things that I thought were important to see. It's got sales tax history, property tax history. The concerning one that I want to point out that's a bit of a negative, I believe, is that the property tax equalized assessed valuation in this community has fallen over the past several years consistently. It hasn't fallen a great deal each year, but it continues to fall. And if you understand the way property taxes work, it's based on property value. So the lower the value, the higher, in theory, each of the taxing bodies has to levy in order to get the same amount of money they got the year before. So we need to keep our growth going. We need to keep focusing on that, which I know this council is doing, but we need to try to get that trend back in a positive direction, and that's certainly going to be a focus over the next year. That chart, this is the last chart in that section that highlights that information. And again, if I didn't say so earlier, everything that's in this book is available from the general public's perspective. If you don't want the whole book, we'll be happy to copy any sheets that you'd like to have. Usually we have those on display and available downstairs, but if you don't see them, ask and we'll make certain that you get whatever it is that you'd like to see. Up next is what we refer to as initiatives and policies. And again, I'm not going to belabor this, but there is a program we've signed up for with the state of Illinois that allows us to collect delinquent payments for utilities and a few other things through the any monies that are owed to an individual from the state of Illinois. This program has worked really well and has collected some fees that we would not have otherwise collected. We're also working on the recodification or the redoing and upgrading of our existing code book. Anticipate having that done in the next 12 to 18 months. And we were just talking earlier, we're about to implement an ordinance violation process that's going to help us enforce the ordinances and keep our neighborhoods clean and neat and have some local abilities to do that, so it makes it simpler and easier for our general public. And then again, to make it simpler and easier for our customers, just recently we implemented debit and credit card payments, and so those are now available both online and at the front counter to pay your utility bills. It took us a long time to get to that, surprisingly, but it's in place now, so that's a good program. Next is the Did You Know section, and again, I won't read all these, but it just talks about various things that the city provides, services we provide, and how those work, like brush pickup and things like that, how some of the actual revenue streams are calculated. For example, a lot of people don't realize or forget that there are three tax revenues the city receives that are population-based: income tax, use tax, and motor fuel tax. They're all based on the city's population. So growth there actually increases those revenue streams. Then there's a summary list of all the boards and commissioners, and as you know, the mayor's going to be talking about a few replacements to that here in a little bit, so the book's only as accurate as the minute it was printed, but it does give you a sense of who are on these boards, and certainly you'd be able to find a contact if you needed to communicate with one of those boards about something. So it's good reference information. The next section is personnel. This last year we had a lot of changes. Again, if you were on the council, you know that we redid water and wastewater. We did a whole lot of different things. We've redone some and changed some things in the fire department. So this is designed to be a summary of promotions, retirements, changes in various staffing positions throughout the city. So there's a summary. And then the back side of that, some of you don't use the term full-time equivalent or FTE, but some of you may be familiar. It's just kind of a way to monitor how many full-time staff equivalents we have from year to year to year each year, and you can see that that's fallen slightly based on some of those changes that we've made over that period of time. The next are some statistics that show our cash balances by fund. Again, this is an ever-changing thing and can be very misleading, but at least it's a year-to-year quick look at what the cash looks like in our various funds and overall. And the bottom line total, as you can see for 4/30/15, is a grand total of just a little over $5 million that we have in the bank at any given time on average. The backside of that are the transfers we make from fund to fund to accommodate various responsibilities that maybe, I'll just use the cemetery as an example, it can't quite pay its own way with the revenue generated from lot sales and interments and things, so it borrows a little bit of money from, in this case, the electric fund. So there's 4 or 5 of those. We've reduced those over time, but that's a list and a summary. All that's also included in the budget document that I talked about earlier. And then the last section is shows the tax levy ordinance that we adopt each winter. It's due to the county in December. Shows the taxes that we're levying for the library, for police and fire pension, and then for city miscellaneous, uses that we use, real estate property taxes for. And then the last couple of sections are just some definitions of the revenue and expense line items from the beginning, so if you're not quite sure what a line item description is, this might elaborate enough to let you understand where that goes and what it represents. Any questions?
I will say that, you know, this is, I think, the third budget that I've worked with Jeff on, and he does an outstanding job putting our budget together. Putting this book together, I mean, there's a wealth of information in here, and for someone like me who's not really up on numbers, it makes it very easy reading. So really appreciate the work and effort that you and the department heads and everybody else puts into this.
The department has spent a lot of time, and in fairness, so did the staff downstairs. I want to recognize all of them for their efforts in getting this thing to you.
And I'd also like to say that Jeff is continuing his work on the budget with department heads. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, we're trying to look at the budget again just for some discretionary spending cuts, about 5%, and they are working diligently on that, and we hope they have something on that by the end of May, early June.
Yeah, we'll have something next month for sure.
Anything available online, Jeff, for the public if they wanted to take a quick overview glance of the budget?
There will be. It isn't this minute, but now that we have the new website online, it went online, maybe 4 months ago, 2 months ago, don't want to exaggerate it. We can now do that. So we'll be putting these things online and many other forms and things in the future. So thanks for bringing that out. But it would not be available if somebody ran out there tonight, but it will be very soon. Anything else? Thank you. The other thing I had under my report was Viewcom, and they're working on some land information that the council authorized an extension maybe a month or so ago, and they're not quite finished with their due diligence in terms of getting a plat and a legal. So I had that on there thinking they might be done, they're not, so I would just ask that we table that till the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And now we've got a couple of board appointments. I'll turn it over to Jerry.
Yeah, Mayor, we got 2 board appointments here. I move that we reappoint, I believe is it Ian Cardosi to the Plan Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals for a full term expiring April 30th of 2018, and then appoint Barry Portman, a recently retired police officer, to the Police Pension Board, replacing Bob Click for a full term expiring April 30th of 2017.
I second.
Motion's been seconded. Any further discussion? Go ahead and call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye. Thank you, Commissioner Newman. And now, any old business?
Mayor Querem, I'd like to speak just for a few minutes on the recycling center. Really appreciate the efforts that, I know that, City Manager Clausen's worked with, a couple things there, the cameras, and we'll get a quick report from him how that's coming out. But the recycling center is one of those things that gets a lot of use. It's amazing on weekends, the traffic going through, and I really think we've come a long ways with the illegal dumping. I'd like to ask the commissioners if they could just take a walk through and walk around that grounds, and maybe we can discuss a little bit more if we want to tweak anything else with that recycling center to make it even better. I know there's a paint job that's going to be on the face of that recycling center this summer. Again, that gets a lot of use, and if we could just get an overview of how we're doing with those cameras. As I understand the cameras are up and working, and there's been some enforcement tickets. So if you could, Jeff, could you give us an update on that?
I'm smiling because I just brought it up on my iPad. You know, that's how great it is. We've got, I think, 3 camera views now, and the new cameras have the ability to zoom in, so we can zoom in on a face, we can zoom in on a license plate, and that's happened, I'm going to say once or twice so far, maybe even more than that. So we will be able to prosecute somebody that actually goes out there and doesn't meet the criteria. But I will say, and Ray, you might have sent some of this, but a couple people that I think we've challenged that maybe were not following the rules complained that the rules weren't posted, and there's a huge sign hanging from the ceiling out there. So I'd like to remind everybody that thank goodness it's not right in front of them, but please make sure that if you're out there taking note, there's a big sign that you really don't need to be that close to that shows you the don'ts of what's not allowed. And I was going to recite those, but I will tell you a couple of things. Pizza boxes are not okay because of the folks that we deal with that don't have the processing equipment to handle that. Pizza boxes can be recycled in certain situations, but not at our center. And styrofoam, which is pretty common, is not. And beyond that, most everything pretty much is, or it's outlined on that process. No electronics out there. We are working on putting together an electronic day, but the rules have changed. It's expensive now, or it used to be, it didn't cost. So as soon as we can figure out how to manage that cost internally, we'll bring something to the council, presuming they accept that, we'll make sure that's made public. But the cameras are online, they're available, we can bring them up on our iPads. I'm actually looking at the site right now live. So it's working really well.
Any other old business? New business? I have two items I'd like to just bring up briefly on new business. First of all, I'd like to speak a moment about the Mayor's Bicycle Safety Challenge, which is sponsored by the League of Illinois Bicyclists. The program is designed to help build awareness of bicycle safety and relevant laws on our roads. There are more bicyclists than ever sharing the roads with motorists. This is true in Princeton, and with the annual Z Tour right around the corner, safety education gains importance for all of us. BikeSafetyQuiz.com is an online educational tool designed for both bicyclists and motorists. I took the quiz and found it to be pretty challenging, and I've been riding bikes for the past 20 years. I encourage everyone to take a moment and visit BikeSafetyQuiz.com. Let's educate ourselves about bicycle safety and promote bicycling as a safe and fun way to travel and exercise. And when I passed, I got a certificate, and it is suitable for framing. The other item I wanted to bring up, I brought this up a while ago, and it's, I was thinking about, I want the council to think about this, over the next couple of weeks, towards the next meeting, and that is moving our council meetings from Monday nights to Tuesday nights. And the reason I'd like to do that, we get our council packets with all the information on Friday. And it, from Friday to Monday, really only gives us Monday to discuss or to contact someone for clarification or on an issue that we might see in our packet. Going to Tuesday just gives us one extra business day. So we'd have 2 full business days to do our due diligence in ensuring that, we have questions, issues, that we're going to have plenty of time to get those answered. So when we have to make a vote, we're doing so with a very free and clear mind. So I'd just like the council to think about that over the next couple of weeks, and we can revisit it at our next meeting.
Yeah, I think maybe Pete can help me out here. It seems like maybe Pete wasn't even involved in this. Several years ago, we had a gentleman's agreement, I guess, for lack of a better answer, is that everybody would have their stuff in by Wednesday, and we would have the council packet on Thursday. Do you recall that?
No, I don't. I think you're right. But we could do it.
That might be an option too, Joe, rather than moving the date, move up the time when everybody has to have their information ready to go by Thursday rather than Friday.
That's definitely something to consider. Right? Either way, I think if we can get 2 full business days.
And I think Commissioner Manier may have been on at that time and brought that up way back.
I'm almost sure we used to have, like, I think it had to be by Wednesday.
And I don't know what you're going on the guidelines today are.
The one thing I would remind everyone is, from a staffing perspective, whatever you decide, we can meet. It's not a problem on our end. The concern we have is the general public. If there's, and I'm not saying that these are a bad idea. 2 days is certainly reasonable. I just want you to be aware that the reason why the time frame exists is so that we can get stuff from the general public, get information, I shouldn't say stuff, to the council, in a timely fashion and respond to citizens' requests as quickly as possible. So 1 day, probably not a big issue, but that's really the biggest issue we're concerned about is every time you move it up a day, somebody comes in 15 minutes after a deadline, it just becomes problematic at times. So just keep that in your thoughts and understand that's one of the reasons behind the logic of the delay anyway. And then, of course, the other reason is just to make sure we're meeting all the open meetings requirements.
Yeah, so in the next couple of weeks, I have the questions, or talk with Jeff. I mean, he's been around, he's worked with communities that probably have meetings on both Mondays, Tuesdays, and even Wednesdays. And he can give you the, the positive and negatives, and we need to discuss in a couple of weeks. Any other new business? comment? Any public comment? We were going to adjourn to an executive session, but we are going to cancel that tonight. We will not be going into.
Mayor, I think we do have one public comment first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd just like to personally thank the city council for passing the ordinance, and Patricia and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening, guys.
Again, we were going to adjourn into executive session, but we will not be doing that tonight, so I would, at this point, entertain a motion to adjourn to our next regular meeting.
Mayor, I move that we adjourn the meeting, until our next regularly scheduled meeting on Monday, June 1st at 7 p.m.
I second.
Any comment? Go ahead and call. Roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.